yeah, no. I wish I had theme music. I really don't know, though, what I would choose for theme music. You know, there's so many great songs out there. Anyway, hey-o, thanks. Welcome back to the blog, the videocast, the webcast. Me spurting into thin air, things that I believe. Anyway, so if you watched my last video, you know that I went and saw a panel discussion a few weeks back, or a video presentation followed by a discussion of Southern Comfort, and then there was a follow-up segment of a panel discussion on trans healthcare. And this is the part that I'm really excited about. This is what I walked away from, and I was like, man, this is really great. This is awesome. So I unfortunately was late to the event, which made me really sad, but I'm really glad that I got to attend it at least. When I walked in, there was a woman from, I believe it was one of the hospitals around here. I'm really bad. She's an she works for an OBGYN, and they are specialize a lot in trans men, which is really great. It was really awesome to see. They are kind of do a lot of hysterectomies for trans men, which, if you remember from the last video cast, was something that in Southern Comfort was talked about and was not done for this trans man who came down with cervical cancer. It was ridiculous. But, so this kind of shows some of the climate change in some of the areas of the United States. Granted, this is just Boston. She gave some brief history and some brief background knowledge about trans issues, and said something that I think is really important. So a lot of the time, trans issues are lumped into the LGBTQ community. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and queer community, which can be helpful, but at times isn't. Because sexuality and gender identity are two very different things. And I think sometimes that gets lost. And also, a lot of the time, LGBT groups can ignore the T at the end. The T kind of gets segmented off and it's like, that's not important to us. What the woman said, I think that is very true, is trans rights are where LGBT rights were 10 years ago. I think it's 10 or 15 years ago, which is really true. You know, a lot of trans people are still fighting for the right to be who they are. And one of those areas that trans people are fighting for the right is to have insurance covered surgeries. Now, this is something that we haven't really talked about, so hold on. Take a deep breath, we're going to get into this. So, for the average top surgery for a trans man, can be anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. It's a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money, actually. Especially for people who might not have a full-time job, or people who are in college. Now, normally medical issues are covered under insurance. Here's the problem, though. A lot of insurance agencies still see trans surgeries as cosmetic, which is not true at all. These are surgeries that are helping the mental well-being of these people. These are surgeries that are aligning the body with how the person sees themselves. These are really important surgeries that are way more important than just cosmetic. They're not, I've never heard a trans man say, I want to get top surgery so I'll be more attractive, so people will think I'm better looking. I've heard trans guys say, I want to get top surgery so that who I am on the inside is who I am on the outside. And I think that's really important, is this fight to have insurance cover top surgery and cover surgeries for trans people, cover all surgeries, for trans women, cover bottom surgery and cover top surgery for trans women. If for trans men, cover top surgery and bottom surgery if they want it. Which, let's talk about that for 5 seconds. Bottom surgery. So that's when the female parts are turned into male parts. So pretty much it's when someone who's female embodied, so has a vagina, they do this strange surgery where they pretty much invert the vagina, I guess. I don't know. And turn it into like a penis. Really interesting, right? Except it sucks. From every trans guy I've ever talked to, this surgery is, one, incredibly experimental, two, Alright, we're going to get a little explicit here, so you gotta stick with me. So the average length of a male embodied person's penis is like 5 inches, I believe. 5 inches. Which is, fun fact, the length of a Sharpie. For a trans man, the longest I've seen is like 2 or 3 inches. And it does not look at all like a male embodied person's penis at all. Not at all. It's quite sad. Which is a little ridiculous with like how far our science has come that we can't figure out how to do this. Also, a lot of trans men who have bottom surgery have expressed how they have trouble peeing later. It is actually non-functional, so you can't use it for sex at all. So they should probably work on that. Just a thought. Anyway, so that's my little digression into bottom surgery. But these surgeries aren't covered under insurances. A lot of insurances don't. There are a couple of insurances that will cover them, but only after extensive precautions. You have to go through 2 years pretty much of therapy and hormones and have, X number of psychologists and blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of legal paperwork, which is a little ridiculous for someone, maybe someone like me, who is, 21 years old, knows that this is not a phase. This is who they are, and has just been waiting for the opportunity to make themselves who they want to be and who they know they should be. Now you're telling them that they have to wait, an extra 2 years, an extra however many years. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But anyway, I digress. So I went to this really great panel, and there was 2 people from Simmons College. There was a woman who gave the presentation, and then there was also this other woman from I want to say Sanders Center. I'll put the link down to their website down below. But really what the center is for LGBT and Q youth. So they serve people from 16, I believe, until the age of 25 or 29. One of those two. It's kind of a strange age bracket, but that's all right. And they are really great on trans health. They use the pronouns that the person needs, they use their legal name, and they also will give a documentation for hormones a lot sooner than a lot of psychologists will do. So some psychologists say that you have to go through therapy with them for 1 year to 2 years before they'll ever give you documentation for hormones. And the center will sit down and have psychology sessions with you, make it at a really cheap price because insurance won't cover it, and then give you the documentation you need much quicker than than the 2-year waiting period that some psychologists require people to go through. So, which is really great. For the same reasons we just talked about with surgery, is, you have people like me who have been identifying this way for a really long time, know it's not a phase, and have just been waiting for the opportunity to be a part of it and to make themselves who they are. And they haven't had that opportunity. I don't have the opportunity because I don't have the monies. I didn't have the resources for a really long time. And there's some other issues. But telling me that I have to wait 2 years for these things is ridiculous, because you want to make sure it's not a phase? Like, for real? This is not a phase. Anyway, so it was really great. It was really interesting to listen to this panel. But one point that I really wanted to touch on, which I really am pumped and psyched about, is Simmons is going through a change with some of the policies. But there is one policy that isn't very known throughout Simmons and at all, which I think should be more known about Simmons, is... So, whenever talking about trans men at Simmons, we also talk about trans women a lot. And one of the things that isn't advertised, but is true, so I'm going to let you in on this kind of secret. Simmons College actually accepts trans women. We accept trans women. As long as they are academically qualified, Simmons doesn't require any legal documentation for information about a student before when they apply to school. We don't require a license. We don't require anything. If the person identifies on the application as female, boom, you can go to Simmons, which is, I think, really great and should be talked about a little bit more, because Simmons is a space that trans women belong in, just as much as, if not more, than trans men. So that panel was really great. That was some cool little information I got out of it. I'll give the link to the center, I guess, that I was talking about down below. So if you want to do any more research, you are more than welcome to. They're a really great place. Throw your support their way. Yeah. So that's all I got for this time. Next time I'll be talking about... that's a really great question. Next time I'll have a topic. It might be about another documentary I watched, or it might be about... or it might be about my meeting with Sarah Neal. The Dean of Student Life invited me to breakfast. But I think that's going to be the time after the movie talk. So stay tuned for next time and the time after that. Anyway, I hope you have a great week. Thanks for tuning in.